Eita is an extremely dedicated student with dreams of getting into a top medical college. For him, studying is priority number 1, while priority number 2 is studying even more. He's close with his childhood friend, Chiwa, who is a carefree girl. Eita lives with his aunt, whom he hardly meets because she's always working overtime. Chiwa lives next door but always eats with him because her parents also work overtime. At school, Eita's other best friend, Kaoru, asks him why he's so turned off by love. As it turns out, Eita's parents got a divorce and found new lovers, so Eita avoids romance and love. Also, his parents abandoned him completely, so Eita hates them. He now lives with his aunt. One day, a new girl named Masuju joins the class and is put right next to him. Masuju is really beautiful and has silvery hair and blue eyes. All the boys develop crushes on her, and they're all jealous that Eita gets to sit next to her. As if he cares for that lovey-dovey stuff. Eita only wants to study because of his dream of getting into medical school. He does not even look at Masuju. One day, Masuju asks him to walk home together and says that she likes him. All the other boys scream in shock, while Eita just wants to disappear. But Masuju takes his hand and they walk back home. When they're alone, Masuju reveals the truth. She just came back after living abroad for most of her life. Ever since she joined this school, she's been asked out by 58 boys. She didn't accept any of them because she also apparently hates the idea of love and romance like him. She asked Eita out because she wants to put an end to all those approaches without actually dating. She asks him to be her fake boyfriend. Eita declines the offer, but Masuju has no intention of letting him go. She pulls out his journal and reads all his private stuff in there, his secret fantasies of being an ancient warrior and other embarrassing stuff. She threatens to release them if he does not accept her. Eita has no choice but to be her fake boyfriend. But more than anything, Eita is worried about how Chiwa will react. Chiwa does not react well. She literally comes running to them and yells at him, but Masuju talks to her gracefully and pulls Eita away. Masuju forbids him from telling their secret to Chiwa. Instead, she meets Chiwa. Since Chiwa has always wanted to be more popular, Masuju creates the club for young maidens to recreate themselves where they can learn to become more attractive and popular. Chiwa says she wants to attract a senior boy from the basketball team called Sakagami. Sakagami is popular and a nice lad. Masuju says that people who play instruments are instantly attractive, so she gives Chiwa an empty guitar case to carry around even though she does not know how to play the instrument. This does gain the other students' attention, but they ask her to play something. Chiwa does some weird stuff and runs away. Masuju starts laughing like that evil witch that she is. Later, Eita scolds Chiwa for being so careless as she apparently has an injury from an incident. She was a huge part of the kendo or swordsmanship club, but she got into an accident where her hip was severely damaged. Later, Masuju says that Chiwa should ask out Sakagami. Eita is concerned, but Chiwa says she'll be fine. Chiwa asks him out and Sakagami accepts. He says that he always found her cute as well. He invites her to a movie that Sunday. That night, Eita puts out lots of good food to celebrate her success. However, Chiwa asks him if he's okay with her dating another dude. Eita does not understand her and says he thinks of her as a sister. He thinks back to the past when Chiwa was just recovering from her injury. It was also the same time that his parents took new lovers and abandoned him. It was then that he decided to become a good doctor so that he would grow up and heal Chiwa's injury completely. The next day, Chiwa goes on her date with Sakagami. Eita and Masuzu secretly follow Chiwa to see how it goes, but Sakagami is already 20 minutes late. 1 hour passes and only then, Sakagami arrives with his friends. Turns out he's just a bully who was playing a mean prank on her. They all laugh at Chiwa and say that he's way above her league, so Eita goes to save Chiwa. It's less saving and more embarrassing. He yells fantasy terms and jumps on them, but they quickly overpower him and kick the crap out of him. Then one of the boys approaches Chiwa. Suddenly, someone throws a rod at her. Chiwa picks it up and uses her kendo swordsmanship training to quickly knock him out. Then another one as well. She beats the crap out of Sakagami as well. Then Chiwa patches up his wounds. The strange black-haired girl is looking at them in secret. Later, Masuju confirms that she's the one who threw the pole for Chiwa. Suddenly, she turns and kisses him, saying that Chiwa might be her childhood best friend, but Masuju is now his first kiss. One day, Eita gets a love letter where the writer says that she has always liked him and wants to rekindle the connection that they once had. He thinks that it might be Chiwa who wrote it. Later, as he and Masuju are sitting together, a strange blonde girl, Mana, appears. Mana is Masuju's sister, and she's responsible for keeping an eye on her and reporting her activities to their father. Mana kisses Eita in front of Masuju and goes back, but Masuju is helpless and does nothing. Masuju starts acting cold with Eita again. The next day, Eita gets another love letter, asking him to come to the rooftop. There, the black-haired girl is waiting for him. She spells out the words "I love you" in a video game. Her name is Himeka, and she believes that in her past life, she and Eita were lovers. It all started when Himeka saw him fighting Sakagami earlier while yelling fantasy terms. Unfortunately for Eita, just then, Masuju and Chiwa arrive. In order to prevent his execution at the hands of these girls, he asks Himeka to keep quiet about their past lives bullcrap. Masuju invites her to join their self-reform club. Aita asks her why she cares about him so much. Turns out Himeka has always been a loner and antisocial in his monotonous life, but when Aita fought to protect Chiwa earlier, he brought color to her life. Later, Mana comes to them with news that their father is angry with Masuju for coming to Japan, and he wants her to go back to their home in Sweden. Surprisingly, Masuju does not fight back. She goes to get ready. Just then, Himeka comes with a poem she wrote for Aita. It's about how an ideal maiden should behave. But suddenly, Mana steals her notebook and reads all her fantasies, causing Himeka to get embarrassed and start crying. Aita tries to stop her, but her bodyguard stops him. Aita gives a heartfelt speech about how people should maintain their fantasies. Seeing this, Himeka yells at Mana to go away. Due to this new change, Masuju also decides to stay back. She also forces Mana to apologize to Himeka, which she does begrudgingly. One day, Aita goes to the nurse's office because he's unwell. When he wakes, Himeka is sleeping naked next to him. Chiwa and Masuju get suspicious, so they barge in. Suddenly, a member of the student discipline committee, Fuyumi, enters the room and scolds the girls for creating a ruckus. Chiwa claims that Fuyumi is just jealous of them, as she probably doesn't have a boyfriend. Fuyumi says that she does have a boyfriend, but he's a college student in Tokyo. Since she's not on good terms with them, Fuyumi closes their little maidens club. Summer vacation starts, so Aita begins his supplementary classes outside school. Fuyumi has also joined the same class. She becomes happy, but she immediately pretends not to care about him. Just then, Kaoru also comes and reveals he knows Fuyumi as they went to the same elementary school. Later, Kaoru tries to introduce Aita and Fuyumi, but she still talks rudely to him. Finally, she gives him a bit of her lunch, which he likes. Fuyumi gets happy and goes for a little run, literally. Kaoru invites Aita and Fuyumi to a movie. Masuju believes that Fuyumi's boyfriend is fake, and she wants Aita to find proof of that. They want to blackmail her to get the club running again. Masuju asks him to make Fuyumi fall in love with him. He will also be accompanied by Chiwa, who will pair with Kaoru. They execute their plans the next day. Fuyumi asks Aita if he remembers something from kindergarten. When Aita does not remember anything significant, she gets upset. During the movie, Chiwa and Fuyumi sit on either side of him. They get excited with the contents of the movie and almost crush the poor boy's hands. Turns out Fuyumi and Aita were super close when they were young, but she moved away for a long time. Now that she's back, however, Aita does not remember her. One day in their supplementary class, Aita and Fuyumi's notebooks get exchanged. He reads her notebook, which is filled with her imaginary interactions and fantasies with an unnamed boy. Fuyumi finds out and chases after him, and they end up on a back staircase. Fuyumi cries in embarrassment, but Aita reveals that he makes up his own fantasies as well, and it doesn't have to be embarrassing. Fuyumi thanks him and hugs him. Later, she invites him for a walk. They go to their childhood locations where they used to play as children. When they see the fireflies in an old staircase, Aita starts to remember his past with Fuyumi. Then, Fuyumi pulls out a piece of paper which they once wrote when they were kids. It's a marriage registration written in crayon and signed by the two of them 10 years ago. Aita is shocked that he did that. Fuyumi also confirms that her college boyfriend is fake. Then she demands that he stamp the marriage registration with his fingerprint, but he runs away. "Don't worry, honey, he's just going to get the milk." Later, Fuyumi allows them to run their club again in return for joining them. Now that Fuyumi is in the club, she reveals that she knew Aita back in kindergarten, which is even before Chiwa knew him. Chiwa becomes upset as she always claimed to be Aita's first childhood friend. But Masuju changes the topic by reminding them that they are now a proper club because they have the minimum 5 members required, so they need to prepare for the summer training camp. They all decide to go to the beach, but Chiwa is still upset about what Fuyumi said. So Aita reassures her by saying whichever friend came first, she's the one he spent time with the longest. She happily hugs him. Masuju also says that she's the only one who does not have any memories with Aita, so he promises to make lots of memories with her starting now. Later, he introduces his friends to his aunt and guardian, Saiko. But Aunt Saiko immediately senses that he and Masuju are fake dating. You see, she works in a video game company which makes cutesy games for adolescent girls, so she has developed an intuition about how an actual couple behaves. As they discuss how to raise money for their trip, Saiko suggests that she work with her in the promotion of her company's new game, Oridere. They're perfect for this job because they're all head over heels in love with someone, namely Aita. Masuju still claims that she's his girlfriend and the one most in love with him, so Saiko challenges her by using a compatibility app. She asks them various questions. According to the app, Fuyumi's answers show that she's the one most in love with Aita, with Chiwa and Himeka after her. Masuju comes dead last because her answer was too perfect and calculated. Masuju becomes offended by this, so Saiko suggests that they participate in a competition in Oridori promotion. Whoever wins, Saiko will give her the blessing to marry her nephew, Aita. All the girls get excited about getting Aita all to themselves. Before Saiko's gaming convention, they go to the beach as planned. They all enjoy the sea and play games. For one game, Aita has to go blindfolded and smash a watermelon. All the girls gives directions, but Masuju gives directions to herself, and instead of the actual watermelon, Aita grabs her melons. Later that night, Chiwa pulls out a little souvenir for all of them, a a symbol that looks like Z but is actually the Japanese symbol for the word maiden. They all worked together and kept it a secret from Masuju to surprise her. Masuju thanks them, and she's shocked that even her rivals would do such a thoughtful thing for her. She admits that she herself is a very bad person. She also saw the last page of Eita's journal where he has written his dream of becoming a doctor and healing Chiwa. She thanks Eita for everything and promises to free him at the end of the trip. The next day, Eita runs into Mana's butt. Mana tells her about her family, how their father used to treat Masuju like a trophy just to show off in their high society. He forced her to be an ideal daughter. Mana says that Masuju needs someone to support her in her struggles. That day, the Oridori promotion event begins. The girls have to get on stage and tell everyone why they love the person that they love. Chiwa talks about how she's childhood friends with the one she loves, and he's working hard for a greater goal. She hopes to be an even better person for him. Next up is Himeka's turn, but she gets nervous and goes to Aita. Himeka says I love you to Aita and thanks him. Ever since she started talking to him, she has been able to interact with her classmates like a normal girl and made friends with the other girls. Their moment is captured on camera and Himeka accidentally completes her participation. After some other random NPC girls speak, it's Masuju's turn, but she just says that her boyfriend broke up with her. Aita does not accept that, so he goes onto the front and demands that she finish their tale even if it is fake. Masuju cries. Why does he still want to be with her when he has all these other wonderful girls around him? He says that it's because he loves her. Then he gets up on stage and kisses her. Damn, it must suck to be one of the other girls. The next morning, Masuju joins Eita in bed and acts all cutesy with him. Aita has no idea what to do, so Ansaiko tells him to make the other girls completely hate him. That way, they will leave him and Masuju alone. So he goes to Himeka and says that he's not really her lover from their past lives. Her real past life lover has reincarnated somewhere else in the world. But she does not believe his BS, just jumps on him. Next, he goes to Fuyumi and thinks of ripping the marriage contract. But Fuyumi starts crying for some other reason. Aita panics and accidentally gets a paper cut, resulting in a bit of his blood on the paper. His signature. Fuyumi's absolutely happy. Finally, he goes to Chiwa and she just starts crying, saying she's not that beautiful and doesn't have a great body like Masuju. Aita goes to console her, but she turns around and they end up kissing. Chiwa tenderly tells him I love you, and even Eita blushes. Masuju sees this and they get into a fight.